for you. Right back on the tin press. So you've probably seen a handful of videos of the tin press on Greg's channel, and it usually is me working on behind the scenes. Obviously that's why we're here, right? So this thing has always had a number of issues and has always been the bane of my existence. But today we're going to try and tackle a lot of these leaks. Like you can see, the whole ground is saturated here. That's a bunch of hydraulic oil. The engine, pretty sure it's a mix between an old 12 valve Cummins and something else, but it's covered in oil on the front. I think it's that front seal, the front main seal. We have another leak right here coming from the main hydraulic pump. I have had that off before, so I don't exactly know what the problem is, but I'm thinking it's somewhere here. There's a seal right here that the O-ring had it off. So I'll get that pulled off and get that checked out. And then as we go down, these are always changing. The two on the other side leak real bad, and that one leaks real bad. But there's not much you can do about that. They just get hit. So I'm gonna level it back off because they leak. They always. I'm gonna level it back off, get it back up in the air. These right here are coming from someone who helps line boring a lot. These are super ovaled and need to be done. There are literally no bolts in this end cap, which I didn't notice before. So yeah, all of the cylinders are ovaled out here. See, all the bolts are here in this one. Limit switches on this machine are the death of me. This limit switch is always having problems, and normally I can't get back here. It's always covered in this. It's because what they do is they take like the big Liebherrs, the Liebherrs with the material handling claws on them, and they load this crusher and bail it with the crusher. This claw was just too small and we're having too many issues with it, so they just decided to just use the bigger machine to load it, and it's honestly just faster to go that way. It has more leaks on this side. So like I was talking about, this one leaks real bad. Our whole valve block here has something going on. We'll hose it down with some starting fluid, clean it off, fire it up, and see where that leak's coming from. I'm guessing it's an O-ring, probably somewhere in here, or in between right here is my guess, but I don't like to guess. I want to confirm the issue and fix the issue. I don't want to nickel and dime it. But you can see there's oil all over down here. These squirt oil. While I was in LA for a fire, we had Wesley come out and weld these again because they've been welded so many times in the past before us. We've welded it. Wesley's now welded it, and they're doing it again, what they always do. We're getting hydraulic oil squirting out of this area, so I'll probably clean that up. And yeah, it looks like there's some oil here. Probably clean that up, throw a weld on it. I don't see any coming out of here, but you can see there's just this big old nub of weld where people have been welding over it, trying to fix it. Yeah, and then obviously in all of these holes, it's oval shaped. There's no circle anymore. I have videos in the past of just how far off they are, and hydraulic oil squirting all over the place. If I can find it, I'll throw a little clip in there right now. You can also see how all of these are wet. There appears to be, back behind the cylinder, a pinhole in one of those pipes that is leaking hydraulic oil. So I gotta somehow get back there and either weld it or fix it however I can. They've obviously all been welded before, back when they were like neck down. Wonder what kind of material this is. I'll have to ask Greg next time he's out here. That's definitely doing something. That's doing something. Totally doing something. I think that was welded over here once. This used to leak real bad. I finally got it to stop leaking last time I worked on this machine. I don't even really know how. I just took it off, cleaned the threads, put new thread sealant on it, put it right back on, made sure it was tight, and it hasn't leaked since. We have another kind of leak going on here. I think this leak is actually stemming from somewhere else though, because let's just see the rundown of oil. You would think this is just like fluids coming from over there, but it's not. It's hydraulic oil. We have had this whole machine off and did the turret bearing, and while we had it off, the customer had someone clean back here, and they pushed the cover plate into the pile, and it has not been seen since. So that's sad. but it doesn't appear to be getting hit because we don't eject anything out this anymore, so it's kind of okay. You can see the mess of wiring up there because in all of the infinite wisdom of both Greg and I, our markings came off during installation, so the 22 dark blue wires that are all the same color weren't properly marked, so we had to go through and pick every wire and ohm it from, or beep, we call it beeping it, from the cab controls down into here and back to the box. That was a pain in the butt. I had well over 100 hours in testing on that between me and a couple other people. But she's finally working good again, and that's all that matters. It took way too much time. And then we also have a leak. You can see the fluid running down in there from the valve block. I do believe I know which one it is though. There's a hose over there that's it's actually at the bottom. The leak isn't towards the top, so it's kind of easy to tell when they're at the bottom, especially when they're clean, because everything else here is dirty, and when the hydraulic oil runs across it, it cleans it. So yeah, I'm gonna get started on the valve block for this machine today. I'm not gonna mess with the motor for right now because that is a bigger issue. I'm gonna have to pull the whole cooling pack off the front. It's not that hard because there's nothing around it, but I'm gonna take the cage off, pull the cooling pack off to get really in there and make sure that I get everything up there, and that's gonna take more than the time I have today. So yeah, I'm gonna get started on this, and I'll bring you back once I get it cleaned off, or before, who knows. All right, so I started to clean it off with starting fluid, and it did a decent job. Like we have right here, you can see, but it's got so much on here that I don't think starting fluid and some paper towels is going to do it. So I am going to pressure wash it. See, I also got to get back there. The biggest thing with pressure washing something like this is you have to be careful with all these little sensors. Now we have spares, but I don't really want to have to be out here figuring out which one got fucked up with the water. So I'm gonna go through and make sure all of these screws are good, because it is made to be out in the weather, so it does get wet. Just the pressure of the pressure washer can mess all that up. So I'm just gonna get all these screws on. See, there's one all the way down here. So that way it's mostly sealed up, and then I'm just gonna hit it. All these areas I'll hit just as lightly as I can, just to get the dirt off. And then the harder areas I'll hit pretty heavy. But yeah, I guess you're gonna get a pressure washing montage. All right. All right, so went and found an O-ring kit. This is our blown up O-ring. I don't know if it'll focus on it. This is the closest size I could find to it. And you can see that the old one actually looks bigger, but that's because it's completely mushroomed out. When you set this inside, that ID is the same, and you can see all the edges around it are just blown way up. It's just so flattened out. So I'm gonna use a sharper pick to pull them out, pull the old ones out, because I need something sharp to get in there and pick it on it. And then I love these little picks. I get them from Snap-on, but they have a smooth edge on them. So when I want to put new ones in, or when you're dealing with O-rings that you don't want to damage, these do a phenomenal job of just getting in behind that O-ring and pulling it out without damaging it. The old ones I don't care about, so I'm gonna stab them and I'm gonna pull them out. That's gonna be the easiest way to do it, so that's gonna be the way I'm gonna do it right now. All right, let's get this knocked out. And here I was nervous about spraying water in that when it's just a piece that fell out of the tin press when it was working. All right, got all those O-rings replaced. Now I've got to go get an operator back out here to, well, operate. All right, so I pretty much got this one all knocked out. Just replaced all the O-rings up in here, a couple on the back side, and she doesn't appear to be leaking anymore, but I will let the test of time tell me that. So next week, or next time I come out here for the services next week, I'll come check it out again and see if it's leaking. I did go down the line a little bit. This leak right here, it is not that pipe back there like they thought it was. Annoyingly, it is the cylinder itself. I do need to pull the cylinder out, pull it apart, pull the piston out, and do all the O-rings on the piston, and do all that jazz. But that is probably a task for another day, because this machine can't be down for very long, and I highly doubt that my local O-ring supplier will have all of them. So I need to schedule with the customer a time that I can have this machine down for, honestly, it would be a week minimum until I can get all the O-rings, or I can try and find a barrel number on these and order them from a company, but that's usually like $300 to $500 a cylinder for cylinders that big. Now I'm gonna move down the line here. I'm gonna try and, I got everyone looking for a water hose so I can pressure wash back here, because I, for one, don't want to climb on that, and I need to get up in the middle. So who knows? And then I also got to go up there, so standing on this surface while trying to work up there is not fun. Have done it, don't want to do it again. Have fallen. So yeah, bring you back for a pressure washing montage next. water increased, honestly. So I'll show you how far we've gotten so far. Knocked all the grease out of here, so now I can actually stand here without slipping. Same thing over here. There was like a 2-inch layer of grease and dirt and oil, so got all that knocked out. Did a bunch up here, and so the goal is to get it down to this green layer here and get all the oil out of here so I can see the new oil get dripped. Yeah, so I'm gonna put the camera down somewhere where it's not gonna get sobbing wet and finish this off, and I'll bring you back once I'm done. Alright, so I found a handful of the issues that I was here to try and fix. So I did get it all pressure washed off. Got a assortment of my favorite tools. That's perfect. Somebody nailed the door again. Anyways, got it pressure washed off pretty good, at least good enough. One of our leaks that we already saw was right here. I'm going to try and tighten that. If I can't get it to tighten, I think, because this is a JIC fitting, I think because the line is too tight, this won't seat. And on the other end, it's a straight flange. So I should be able to disconnect it from the other end and just run this side, or tighten this side, and then reconnect on the other end. And that would be the easiest way to do that, instead of fighting this arch here. But that's the only leak I was able to find right here, from what I can tell. Everything else is just kind of wet from, obviously I just washed it. Now I did find our main leaker. It happens to be the boom lift cylinder. Now there's a lot going on with the boom lift cylinder. For one, there's cracks that I'll show you here in a second, and just like the other ones that I was pointing at, this one's welded around the base by multiple people, and we've never touched this one. It's been in there too far. So that, I need to take that cylinder and the cylinder down on the side of the crusher door. But this machine is still needed. So I need to talk to the customer and figure out if I can take these today or if I need to come back another day, which is perfectly fine. But for now, I'm going to try and tighten all the lines, fix all the leaks that are on the lines. That could just be O-rings, bad seats, anything like that. And talk to the customer and figure out if they want me to take these cylinders today or another day. But if we get in a little closer here, you guys might be able to see it, but there's a big old crack right there in the ear where the pin for the cylinder goes through, as well as on that side, on both sides. And then it's the same thing up on the other end. It's completely cracked all the way around it. So this cylinder's got to come out, and it's got to be fixed. There's more weld up there that's also leaking. So this cylinder is our main leaker for right this area. And I noticed there's a hole like this one inside there, right below that cylinder. So I'm thinking, I could be wrong, but I'm thinking that our hydraulic leak under here is actually coming, where'd it go? From that hole right there. Wait, not that one. Not that one either. I don't know where it went. I think it might be under that plate. It's coming from the boom, from underneath the boom lift cylinder, which actually, yeah, it's that one. Right there. And then running across this plate. I'm seeing some like drips here, but I still think that's from water. And I am going to try to tighten these up and make sure that they're tight and they're not causing any problems. Don't worry about that mess. That's, there were so many problems and so many hands in that pot. So even a professional electrician has come out and been like, all of those are correct. So I don't understand why we were having problems. Problem's still there, we just found a workaround for it. But yeah, I need to now start tightening lines and wait for the customer to get back. Okay, so I just spoke with the customer and we came up with a pretty good game plan. When it comes to the cylinder, what we're going to do is we're going to order a seal kit from Sierra, which is the company that makes these. A seal kit, but that's kind of next on the list. And all the leaks up here are tied into the fact that it has the excavator or material handler on it, like the claw and all that stuff, but they don't use it. I mentioned earlier in the video that they use the bigger claw that you can see going in the background to put material in and pluck the old bale out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it off, and that'll be a video for another day. We're just gonna set it all probably over here in the corner, and I'm gonna cap off all the lines, and we're gonna pretend like it was never there. It's gonna look really funky, so I look forward to that. But yeah, we're basically just gonna cap all the lines. I might even just take the valve block off and cap all the lines there, and then go from there. The valve block actually will probably have to stay because we'll need the turntable to work still. So we'll figure that out when we get there. So that's gonna be it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for part 2.